everyone. This is Joti Balani. I am founder and managing director of FreshRiver.ai. We are a conversational AI and data science consultancy. We do strategy and delivery for the Fortune 100 enterprises. And I'm joined here today by Collin Borns of Speechlys. Welcome. How are things going? How are you enjoying the show?
I mean, it's amazing. The voice community is just as active as it was before that little COVID thing happened. So it's exciting to have everybody back in person.
A lot of hugs going on, right? It's
yes.
like, wow, you popped out of my screen. You're real in 3D.
You're way taller. You're way shorter. It's like, yeah.
We're learning to be human again in the world of AI, right? It's
yes.
Spectacular. Tell us a little bit about your history.
Yeah, so I actually started getting involved with this amazing community while I was at VaynerMedia. And then from there, quickly got into venture capital, investing in conversational AI, voice technologies. And it was through that experience where I actually met the Speechlys team, just really loved what they were working on, had the operator type bug going on personally as well, and then joined them about 2 years ago now. So now I'm heading up business development there.
Wow, so you came from the money world, Mr. Moneybags world, like I say. What problem does Speechlys solve?
Yeah, so I'd say originally we were going out to make voice interfaces possible across mobile apps, websites, but doing this in a highly accurate way where you can custom build these models, but then also do it all in real time. So what makes us unique is we're able to do speech recognition and natural language understanding, but instead of doing that in a sequential manner or after the fact of each other, we're doing those simultaneously. So the second that somebody is talking, we're actually able to understand the intent, what the user is trying to accomplish. So that's what makes us unique.
So the time is real time?
Yes.
And so what does it translate to business outcome-wise? Talk me through a little bit about that.
Yeah. So I think it really depends. As it relates to the voice interface side of things, you just have a much quicker user experience. And so users can just accomplish a lot more much quicker. And I think that's one of the promises with voice that we always talk about is this efficiency.
Right.
But when you start getting into these longer utterances, that value quickly goes away if you don't know what the user's trying to accomplish.
Right. Yeah.
And so you can get to this point where you might have a 5-10 second utterance, and if the user or the system isn't able to reflect back to the user like, hey, I didn't even understand what you were saying at the beginning,
right,
it's going to quickly lead to a really bad user experience. So without having that real-time piece, I feel like delivering on the promise of voice and efficiency is almost impossible.
That is right, because if you don't get speech recognition right, none of the rest of what's downstream or upstream matters, right? How do you handle privacy, security? Like, what's your framework? How are you guys thinking about that?
Yeah, so some of our most recent developments is actually around this. So we're able to run cloud-grade speech recognition all on device or on premise. So if you think about the normal architecture of a cloud-based system, there's a lot of confidence that you need to have in your third-party vendor of where your data is going. And a lot of that can be mitigated just by going on-premise, and obviously even more once you go to on-device, obviously because the audio and that content never needs to leave the user's device. So they don't even need to trust the company that they might be working with.
Right.
And so as it relates to privacy, I'd say some of our recent feature releases on-device, on-prem is how we tackle that.
So you do cloud, but you can also do on-premise. So getting closer to the edge, which probably is higher performance, right?
Yes.
Where are you seeing the adoption the most? Like which vertical, which functional areas?
Yeah, so this, I would say, ties into a newer product that we're not as well known for yet in the voice industry around voice moderation. But the main industries that we're seeing are online gaming, and this depends on who you ask, sort of blends in with the metaverse.
Sure.
So online gaming, the metaverse, and then just any user-generated content is the areas where we're really seeing a lot of activity happen.
How about different languages?
Yeah, so at least today we're focusing mainly on English, and again, we're a pretty small team, and so we have to stay focused. And we found that there's plenty of problems, at least for us to solve today with English alone, but we're definitely ramping up some new language with some of our specific partners that we should be announcing here within the next few months.
It's very exciting. What do the next 6 to 12 months look like for you guys?
Yeah, so it's all focused on, I would say, voice moderation and just talking about, I think moderation in general is sort of this like unsolved problem when you look at things like online gaming, again, the metaverse, user-generated content. It's been around forever. And a lot of companies have started to or have been investing in things like text-based moderation or image-based moderation. But we start to see this just media explode around audio and video and user-generated content to the point where it's very I'd say not cost effective to try and moderate all that. But that toxicity and online harassment, all these different problems with having a safe online community has only been, I would say, increased by this audio and video content that we have now. And so our focus is working with companies that have previous experience with moderation, whether that's, again, in text and these other areas, and helping them be able to cost effectively and accurately now add audio and video to their tool belt as well, and being able to look at speech within those types of content.
You seeing any adoption challenges, user trust, any of those sort of issues? No,
I think it's actually been a really interesting phenomenon over the last few years where if we look at social, if we look at gaming, there was almost like this, like, stay out of my business. Like, I don't want the platform to be involved in this discussion. And now we're starting to see this shift over the last few years with, I mean, there's been many different events where people are starting to say, like, these platforms, these companies, they need to take some responsibility for what's actually taking place.
Yeah.
And so we're seeing users, I think there's this pretty interesting shift where, you know, you can only go so long being harassed online and this type of thing to the point where you want something to happen. And so I think platforms are also starting to take notice because the user behavior is shifting because of this toxic behavior. And so they're needing to pay attention to it, not just because the users are saying it, but the actions are speaking just as loud by the users in either voting with their feet and going to different games or doing things like turn off their voice chat, which I don't think is what these platforms would ultimately want.
Of course not, because anything that stands in the way of capitalism, right? Generating revenue. What are you sensing from a partnership standpoint? Do you think going to market requires a little bit more around that? I mean, you know, being the head of business development, what are you seeing there?
Yeah, so I think it's just I wouldn't say it's like rocket science per se, but the companies that are dealing with these problems are companies we're very familiar with. They have a large amount of users. They're dealing with mass amounts of content, and they're very aware of this problem. And so it's educating these different platforms, industries, and groups that are participating there that this is actually a problem that can be solved with technology like speech recognition and natural language understanding. I don't know if it's necessarily been talked about that much in these types of circles before. And so, yeah, just going to these different areas and actually talking about what's possible because of this industry.
Right.
I think that's the biggest thing we can do right now is just build awareness around this is a problem that can be solved.
In the last 2 minutes, and talking more about awareness, right? I think solving social problems, I think, is huge. It could be a game changer because I think, you know, every emerging trend that's come and gone has left behind unintended consequences, right? Do you guys spend a lot of time talking, you know, media or in specific groups? You know, what are those groups? How are you sort of tackling that education?
Yeah, so we're actually pretty new to this use case. So we were part of the YCombinator batch first quarter of this year. And like I said, we are very well known in the voice space as speech recognition, natural language understanding that's real time and highly accurate.
Yeah.
But to be completely honest, we were very ignorant to the problem around voice moderation until we participated in this YCombinator. And it was through that we were able to meet these new customers and become aware of this problem existing in the first place where, you know, the light bulb goes off and it's like, okay, we have something to bring here. So this is relatively new to us within the last 6 months. So we're only starting to participate in some of these other events and meeting with these people. So I would say it's almost 50-50 where we're going out and we're trying to educate that we have technology that we think is very viable for solving these problems, but at the same time being very, I'd say, empathetic to learning from people that are professionals in trust and safety and moderation,
right.
So that we don't try and come in as these experts in, let's say, content moderation, but stay in our lane as experts in speech recognition and natural language understanding.
Right, and really partner with folks that define that.
Exactly.
Thank you so much. It's been amazing. We're going to be keeping an eye on you guys. I think you're solving a very, very amazing problem. I think it's worth solving.
Yes, thank you for having me.
Enjoy the rest of the show.
Thanks, you too.
Thank you.